So, US President Donald Trump has hinted at a possible deal with Iran, but he says he's not ruling out a ground invasion too. Iran has kept up its retaliatory attacks on Israel. An oil refinery in the northern city of Haifa has caught fire after being hit by missile debris shortly after the military detected launches from Iran. And people across Iran have endured another night of US and Israeli strikes. There have been large explosions in the capital of Tehran. A petrochemical plant in the northwestern city of Tabriz has also been hit. And President Donald Trump has told the Financial Times that US forces could seize Iran's main oil export hub on Kharg Island. Speaking later on Air Force One, Trump suggested a deal to end the war is possible.
I think we'll make a deal with them, pretty sure. Whether it's possible, we won't. But we've had regime change, if you look already, because the one regime was decimated, destroyed, they're all dead. The next regime is mostly dead. And the third regime, we're dealing with different people than anybody's dealt with before. It's a whole different group of people. So I would consider that regime change. And frankly, they've been very reasonable.
Despite Donald Trump's claims that negotiations are progressing, Iran says diplomacy with the US is not being held directly. Tehran is calling Washington's demands excessive and maximalist.
To date, we have had no direct negotiations with the United States. Since the last round of talks, what has occurred has been the receipt of messages through certain intermediaries, including Pakistan, conveying the United States' interest in and request for negotiations. It is only natural that whenever talk of negotiations comes from the United States, everyone's sensitivities are heightened. I do not know to what extent these claims are taken seriously even within the United States itself, or how seriously they are viewed internationally. Our position is clear. Unlike the other side, which constantly shifts its stance, the Islamic Republic of Iran has known its position from the very beginning. The points that have been conveyed to us, whatever one chooses to call them, 15-point clauses, more or fewer, they're highly excessive and maximalist in nature.
Let us get the very latest from Tehran. Tohid Asadi joins us live from there. So, Tohid, excessive and maximalist does not sound like resolution is close.
Yes, indeed. This is not for the first time that we hear from this spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We've got other Iranian officials all coming out over the past few weeks to say that there are no talks and negotiations with the United States at this point. And that is obviously coming from the very fact that Iranians are saying while the country is under assault, talking about any negotiation is not relevant. And we hear that from time to time from different officials. And this time again, it was Mr. Baghai, the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, saying that there is a background to that. The country was already engaged not once but twice in the trajectory of diplomatic engagement with the United States. Once back in June when the country faced all of a sudden a campaign of airstrikes by the Americans just in the middle of a negotiation, and while the country was expecting a next round of talks with Washington, and this time again the same scenario was repeated. So there is this cloud of mistrust when it comes to potentiality of negotiation, and we know that the two sides are poles apart when it comes to their demands. The Iranian side is saying that actually the 15-point plan proposed by the Americans is excessive, is maximalist, and it's unreasonable. Meanwhile, the demands by the Iranian side seem to be not welcomed by the United States, but also we know that a spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs talked about other spheres, most important of which I can refer to the idea of withdrawal from the Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT. He said that the parliament is right now considering that, and if that happens, it's going to be obviously an important development. Also, he said that Iran should not be expected to practice unilateral self-restriction under this ongoing situation. And he also said that Iran is not at war with regional countries.
Tohid, with all this as a backdrop, there are still sustained airstrikes right across the country.
The truth of the matter is that we are witnessing the continuation of this campaign. And over the past 24 hours, specifically, I can say from the midnight onward, we were able to hear the sounds of massive blasts across the capital and the activation of the air defense system. But this is not limited to the capital. We know that across the country in different cities such as Shiraz, Qom, Tabriz, we are receiving reports about the continuation of these airstrikes. In Tabriz in particular, a petrochemical facility was targeted, and in other cities we know that it's not just the military centers or headquarters, but also the residential areas. And we've got this from the Red Crescent of the country that more than 92,000 civilian units have been impacted so far, some of them damaged, some of them fully disrupted, and that is showing the extended scope of the American and Israeli strikes, now moving into a new level to include infrastructure. We know that last time Tehran for a few hours had experienced an electricity blackout due to the attack on the power infrastructure in the capital. The same happened in several other cities such as Kharg and Khondab.
Tohid, thanks for that. Tohid Asadi there with the very latest from Tehran.